Getting inside the 1-minute mark, but the Titans do not care. They want to use most of this clock up. Here's just a quick pattern. Go down, fake it like you're going to take it all the way into the end zone, and then stop on a dime. Then the ball's got to be there when you turn around.
1st and 10 from the 15. Eddie George breaks the tackle. Can't break the second one, though. Ray Lewis was up first, couldn't get him down, but a whole bunch of his buddies came over to finish.
And he had some words from McAllister. Yeah, here's how tough I am.
Clock running down, 2nd and 8. No huddle for the Titans. 25 seconds left. He will spike the ball to stop the clock at 25.
And this is a good addition to the rule book, I think. You know, back in the days going by, a quarterback would have had to take in that ball and looked like he was trying to hit a receiver with an obvious incompletion. Now they just let him spike the ball to stop the clock because that's the intent of the play anyway. So that's a good rule addition over the last few years in the National Football League, the spike to stop the clock.
Jeff Fisher clearly well within field goal range, although last time they were within field goal range, it was a 45-yarder that was blocked by Keith Washington. 3rd and 8. The lone back behind McNair, as always, Eddie George. McNair with time, now comes out to the left, still looking, and throws it away at the last minute. A very smart play to avoid the sack. He was outside the pocket. There should be no argument.
There is no argument unless we get some, well, we got some extracurricular stuff going on down in the end zone there between Eddie George and a couple of his friends on the defensive side of the football.
I'll keep it here at the end of the 2nd quarter. We'll have plays of the year in the NFL halftime report. There's the number so far on Del Greco, and they will bring him on. He had the 45-yarder that was partially blocked, and this to give the Titans the lead going into the half, and he hits the upright. Oh, Al Del Greco remembers the Ravens game last time at Adelphia Coliseum. He missed an extra point in a 1-point loss and a potential game-winning field goal from 43 yards, and that is how the Ravens escaped. Here's another look.
Well, his second attempt that was blocked, or the miss, actually from 50 was short and a little bit left. This one is wide left, wide enough to hit the upright, and the veteran cannot believe it.
Well, Del Greco has been a tremendous field goal kicker in his 17 years and did come back later in the year with some winning kicks. Jeff Fisher stuck by him. He will have to do so today. But with 14 seconds left in the 2nd quarter, the Ravens simply kneel on the football as the final seconds tick off in the 2nd quarter, as we've come to halftime at Adelphia Coliseum in Nashville, Tennessee, in what everyone expected to be a hard-fought tight ball game has been just that so far through the first half.
Yeah, they weren't wrong, were they?
Not half. Yeah.
No, exactly. How about it? Now, 95% of the time you say, what a great life it is being a kicker. You sit in the sun, you know, you've got your feet up, and then it's the other 5% you've got to worry about.
The only bad part is during the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And remember, the one game the Ravens won in Adelphia Coliseum was because Al Del Greco missed an extra point, missed the potential game-winning field goal, and it took Del Greco a couple of weeks to get back. But something about the Ravens, maybe it's knowing the games are going to be close and every kick matters.
That's
really
right.
Seems to affect him.
It does indeed, yeah. It just goes to show the importance of special teams, doesn't it? Well, 7 apiece in what, as we've just been saying, there's a very, very tight game indeed. Whole of the 2nd half still to come, plus also...
First and goal from the 2, 55.
He also said, thank you, we can assure you. 7 apiece it is after that first half of action there, and
nice block by Shannon Sharp.
Did a good job. And a kind of replica score, I mean, and 2 scores that are very representative of the first half of football that we saw.
Yeah, very much. And like we said at the end of the first quarter, there are 2 teams that are both trying to establish their game and, daring the other team really to stop them at what they know they're going to do. Haven't been any surprises so far, apart from Al Del Greco missing the field goal.
Yeah, exactly.
And, having one blocked and missing from 50. So that, basically 3 chances to put Tennessee into the lead. But otherwise, very balanced. And remember, we were saying how everything's going in the middle as far as the Titans offense. Well, they had Neil O'Donnell came in and they got one nice passing play off. And just as the ball is snapped, now the ball's barely in the air here, and Frank Wycheck's already moving, and Bruce Matthews, who's been in the league 18 years, they're already moving, and the left tackle is already in the backfield, but he's lined up there. But what makes this play work is Wycheck goes like this, Mason comes across under the zone and gets the pass, and we said they're sitting out in the zone, and so all you really have to do is find the soft spot, and that's what Mason does. See that? And Ray Lewis just can't catch him. He's just a little bit too fast. And it's simply that 1-2 steps by Wycheck going deep that frees Ray Lewis in his spot in the zone. And that moment of being frozen is enough for Mason to make the cut in front of him. And then Mason is so quick that he's got that. And why they're not doing more of that, you know.
Yeah, because you can't afford to be that predictable all the time, can you? I mean, McNair did, I suppose, in that second period start to open his shoulders up when they weren't being rammed into the grass, of course, but he did seem to, you know, he did go to the air a little bit more this time.
And, you know, McNair throws very well. He throws as well on the move as he does from the set. But what you'd like to see, really, is for them to be using their wideouts a bit more. If they're going to keep everything in the middle, bring the wideouts over. And conversely, for Baltimore, is to get their wide. I mean, Kadri Ismail is the one deep threat in this game. You know, let's see him try to get deep.
Open it up a bit. That's the way. That's exactly the way it should be going now. Okie dokie, of course, as I mentioned a little bit earlier on there, 8 teams left at the start of this weekend, but the season's been over for a good few weeks for a good few teams by now, of course. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're out of the headlines.
17 if you're the Bengals.
If you do the number, exactly. In fact, did they even start? Well, that's another matter entirely. But, of course, you just can't keep some of these teams out of the headlines. Of course, if you take Washington, meanwhile, down in D.C., of course, it's hail to a new chief.
One thing we know for sure is the Redskins aren't cheap. First, they gave Marty Schottenheimer a $10 million contract. Then they delivered him to Redskins Park Thursday by helicopter.
Good afternoon. Today is another great day for the Washington Redskins.
It may seem like an odd couple. An owner with a reputation of being too hands-on, and a coach who said just last month he didn't think he could work for Daniel Snyder.
I don't think it would be fair to Daniel Snyder or to myself. I think our styles of operation are very, very different, and I don't think that it would be the kind of situation that he would benefit from, nor would I.
I plead guilty. And I broke an axiom that I've always believed in, that before you take a position on something, you ought to have some information about what you're choosing to speak about. I obviously didn't have enough information about Dan Snyder.
He'll find out very soon that Dan's not what he thought he was. Everybody is always making that there, you know, have all these crazy opinions and things and views about Dan, but Dan's not even close to Dan what people think he is.
Many times perception is not reality. Marty and I saw immediately eye to eye. We really talked about what he's done in the past, what he wants to do in the future. This is the first official stamp, you can say, that Dan Snyder's putting on this football team.
Once Dan and I had the opportunity to spend time together, it became obvious that we share not only a common purpose relative to winning a championship, but unlike what I thought were his management ideas, in fact, the things that he believes in are exactly the things that I believe in.
One thing Schottenheimer doesn't believe in is making widespread changes. He did say Thursday his first priority is to meet with the current Redskin coaches to determine who fits into his system.
Yeah, that's the interesting point, I think. Exactly, there you go. I mean, something was wrong at the Skins all season, but of course the point is, where do you actually start? And I mean, was the coach the problem?
In some ways, yes, but in most ways, no. And I think motivation becomes a big thing here. And what you've got now is you have Norv Turner, who was a fairly easygoing coach who treated players, you know, like men. And now you've got Marty Schottenheimer, who's a very intense coach. And it's it's going to be treat them like boys, my way or the highway. And Schottenheimer's done very well at Kansas City, you know, getting teams into the playoffs, but he's never been able to get a team a long way into the playoffs.
So it's a test for him as well, then, as much as anything else, is it? Yeah.
And I mean, seeing eye to eye with Dan Snyder, who's looking more and more like Ben Elton all the time, is mostly seeing eye to eye with his money. I mean, Michael Westbrook says, you know, Dan's much better. People think, well, of course he'd say that, because Dan Snyder's paying him millions of dollars not to play football. And Marty Schottenheimer's getting $2.5 million a year for 4 years. So,
very nice.
I think he'll be a good thing for that Redskins team because he's the kind of guy that a veteran team like that will actually get up off their butts and work hard for, which they didn't do all the time, I don't think, for Norv Turner.
So that could be as you say, that could be the X factor. Then having the right kind of guy in that position, then it could work.
And Marty is a head coach. Norv Turner may be one of these guys who's an exceptional as a coordinator, but not necessarily as a head coach.
Yes, indeed. Now you mentioned Kansas City, and he'd done his time down there as well. Gunter Cunningham had done his time as well, and now he's no longer. He's been released from his pain. Yeah,
it was a kind of is he, isn't he? And I think he had been, but they just weren't letting it out because they were. The word is that they're trying to get Dick Vermeil out of retirement, and the Rams are saying, of course, if you take Dick Vermeil out of retirement, he's still actually under contract to us as a consultant, not as a head coach, because he retired.
So one of those useful little technical things.
Well, they'll want a draft pick for him, basically. Is the and the Rams could use a draft pick, especially a nice one from Kansas City. And number one is basically the going price for a coach these days. And they won't be. They may be not able to extort that much for him because he isn't actually coaching, but he is under contract. So maybe they'll get something.
So what it boils down to is how much they want Dick Vermeil there at this stage.
And maybe so far it's not a done deal that Vermeil's going there. It may
exactly.
Be, maybe he doesn't.
And there's a former guy coming in to be involved now over at Detroit, ex-player back in the action.
And that's a really interesting one because Matt Millen, who's a great commentator, CBS commentator, was a great football player. I mean, 4 Super Bowls with 3 different teams. Nobody's ever done that before or since. But Matt is going in as general manager of Detroit. They tried to do this 2 years ago, and he wanted to fire Bobby Ross as coach.
Straight away,
and bring in Steve Mariucci, but they wouldn't let him do that. But now it appears he's going to go in at $3 million a year, and his priority is going to be to bring in Barry Sanders, try to get him to come out of retirement, presumably for more money than Matt Millen's making. Although if Matt Millen says you'll take less than I get, most people will say, right, Matt, whatever you say.
Exactly. I've been there before, and he knows it.
It's an interesting thing coming out of the box to become a general manager. He's trying to get Tom Donahue apparently, but Donahue's been offered a couple of general manager jobs, including Buffalo's, and he'd probably take a GM job rather than be number 2 to Matt. But Matt's a great guy, a really smart football mind. Be an interesting thing to see how he copes with doing the business end of being a GM, not just the football end.
Yeah, well, no doubt. This won't be the last you hear of it. We've got a couple of more weeks still to go before we end of the season. There'll be other stories to update you on, but of course we've got bigger and more important news to deal with. First of all, it's the second half of our game, which comes up straight after the break.
The Ravens and the Titans, well, they each won 1 game in those matchups against one another during the regular season. No surprise here that we should be tied 7 apiece at halftime. Mark Brown along with Eric Clemens working our way to the start of the 3rd quarter from Adelphia Coliseum. And taking a look at some of the problems that Al Del Greco has had this year.
That was the extra point. In that meeting, they lost by a point, and then the missed field goal that would have won the game there, they lose it 24-23 in that second meeting, and they have to feel pretty unhappy about the turn of events there. Del Greco getting a second chance to hit one from 45, has that one blocked and hits the upright that would have given Tennessee the lead.
We're underway in the 3rd quarter. Jermaine Lewis hops a defender, finds a seam, and is taken down by, of all people, the puncher, Greg Hendrick, who actually does the kickoff duties as well. As we look at the fewest first-half points allowed this season, well, it stands to reason that the Ravens and Titans, who have allowed the fewest points all game long, also the fewest in the first half.
That's right, and 4 of the top 5 of those teams all qualify for the playoffs. Good defense always gives you a chance to win championships.
So Hendrick becoming a real special teamer, coming up and making the stop at the 30-yard line, which is where the Ravens will take over 1st and 10. Dilfer going up top. He was looking for Shannon Sharp, but running stride for stride was Blaine Bishop.
Yeah, and they noticed that Bishop had been beaten earlier in the game when they tried to find Brandon Stokely, so they're going to challenge him a lot today, and I think they should. Bishop, a very aggressive run stopper, very aggressive in lending support against the ground game of the opposition, and sometimes gets out of position in coverage. They tried to exploit him that time, but could not.
So it'll be 2nd and 10. The Ravens have been more aggressive looking down the field offensively than have been the Titans. Dilfer play action. Oh, avoids Javon Curse and throws complete for first down yardage to Kadri Ismail. Wow, what a play by Dilfer just to get that ball off.
Not noted for being quick-footed at quarterback, and the freak is probably one of the fastest defensive linemen you'll ever find in the NFL. Here's Ismail, and he's being covered. The guy probably thinks, Denard Walker probably thinks, oh, that's a sack. Whoa, wait a minute, no sack. Here's Curse. Whoop. Just runs right past him, almost knocked the ball away. Dilfer, the presence of mind to gun it down there for a 15-yard gain. First big pressure that time from Curse. Avoided nicely by Dilfer. Nothing doing as Jamal Lewis tried the right tackle. He got nothing. And some plays just really physical, smash mouth type of football. Just to let everybody know where there is, we take a look at the first half numbers. Rushing, the Titans, of course, enjoying a much better afternoon than the Ravens, who had only 17 yards. And look at the time of possession. Over 21 minutes for Tennessee. But still, the score is 7-7. That's all Baltimore's concerned about. That's all that matters. Ravens with good field position at their 45. Pocket collapsing. Dilfer throws it up for grabs. And it couldn't be reached. Well, just some excellent play on all facets of the game here. Dilfer, an excellent play getting this pass away under intense pressure. They're bringing everybody up the middle. Here comes Godfrey. He's going to get right in Dilfer's face along with Holmes. Now, Dilfer does a great job just getting the ball away here. And the defender falls down, but he overshoots his receiver, Shannon Sharp, by just a little bit. And I say he throws it up for grabs. Perhaps that was a bit unfair. He was hit as he threw, and really, you know, he had to throw it up for grabs. He had a guy out there. He was thrown to the right place, that's for sure. Dilfer under pressure again. This time he won't escape the grasp of Randall Godfrey. And another tricky blitz call that time by the Titans. Might have been a zone-type blitz because it confused the offensive line of the Ravens. No, it's just an all-out blitz up the middle. Bishop and Godfrey both coming. Bishop picked up. Godfrey was not. And running back had to make a decision, and he went over. That was Priest Holmes. He went over to take Bishop up the middle, and that left Godfrey open on the left side. Kyle Richardson on again to punt for the Ravens. Back deep for the Titans, as always, is Derek Mason. Coleman came through again. Second block punt for Chris Coleman. Would you believe that? Brian Billick certainly can't. Well, they've seen some kind of weakness. They've seen something open up on the punting team of the Baltimore Ravens. 2 punts, 2 blocks, and I'll tell you something. They got to get back to the drawing board, do the Ravens, and plug up that hole because Chris Coleman has exploited it 2 straight times now. Both times he's exploited it, it's been straight up the middle. Not picked up at all. Easy block that time, even easier than the one late in the first half. He was just shaded by a guy, never blocked. And this one's going to go out of bounds around the 25-yard line as well. So again, Tennessee, a 27-yard line, has a chance to capitalize. From the 27-yard line, the give is to Eddie George. Got some room off the left side. Good yardage on first down for Eddie George. Eddie George, a good hole that time, running to the side. And, of course, when they run that way, they run behind the All-Pro Matthews, another Pro Bowler, Hopkins, a reserve. And that time, Ray Lewis just missed the tackle. You're not going to get too many tackles on Eddie George tackling at the ankle. 6-yard run. Now 2nd and 4 from the 21. George again, this time right up the middle. Buries forward for first down yardage. Well, this time they're going to stick with the formula that's worked so well for them. Power running football right there between the tackles. And if Eddie George sees some room to the outside, he has the green light to bounce him outside. But behind the long-time Pro Bowler Bruce Matthews and Brad Hopkins on the left, they can get some positive yards.
From the 16-yard line. Another 1st and 10 for Tennessee. Deep in the backfield is Eddie George. McNair is changing the play at the line of scrimmage. Better hurry. He does get it off. Under pressure, flicks it out to George with room and a blocker inside the 10, taken out by Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis showing a little frustration that time, throws him out of bounds a little roughly. Fortunately, Eddie George is so strong he didn't come close to hitting the ground, or that might have been a personal foul penalty. Ray Lewis has to be frustrated. Just missed a couple of tackles that would have limited plays on this drive and even the previous Tennessee drive, but did not quite make them, and he's frustrated about that.
Going to give him a 2nd and 3 from the 9-yard line. 1 touchdown, and that's it in the 2 possessions in the red zone for the Titans. The give is to Rodney Thomas, spelling George, and he's got the 1st down yardage.
Boy, he looked a little bit like Eddie George, being the tough guy.
Just a little
picking
small.
up yards. Yeah, picking up yards after the contact there. And they keep running over that left side. Bruce Matthews.
First start ever back in 1983 at the Raiders. And even back then, he was opening up some holes as he took care of Matt Millen on that play. Sets up a big gain. Wow, it's been...
That Alonzo Highsmith there? I don't know.
Maybe Alan Pinkett.
Alan Pinkett or somebody. I'm trying to figure out who the Oiler was running the football there, number 30.
18th season for Bruce Matthews.
Highsmith would have been later, huh?
Yep, a little bit later.
A lot later.
But you know what? He will probably block for him, too.
I'm sure he did.
I'm sure he did. He's been there for 18 years.
Blocked for everybody.
1st and goal from the 5. George goes forward down to the 3. So he's had his 1 play off, and he's back in there trying to hammer it in.
Mike Rozier was the guy he blocked for in his first start.
Oh, Mike Rozier. Heisman Trophy winner.
Yep. And there's Lorenzo Neal getting into a little shoving match at the bottom of the pile there. But emotions are going to run high when these 2 intense divisional rivals meet with so much at stake.
This is definitely Eddie George territory. 20 rushes for 74 yards and a touchdown. 2nd and goal from the 3. Play action. McNair avoids the rush. Throws incomplete. That one was intended for Mason. But again, McNair just doing a great job to avoid the rush.
Boy, what improvisation there. I mean, most quarterbacks would have been down in the dirt trying to figure out what play you call for 3rd and goal from about the 10. McCrary coming in there, putting heavy pressure on him. First, Burnett pushes him up in the hole. McCrary almost with the sack. And I tell you what, he almost got that ball to his receiver, who was slightly open in the end zone, but he had to rush it.
Now it's 3rd and goal from the 3. Big Pen comes in motion. The give is to George. George nowhere to go. Got back to the line of scrimmage, maybe a half yard more, but the Ravens are holding in a little bit of a scrum there as Siragusa pushed Kevin Long into the pile.
Now, Mr. Del Greco, 0 for his last 2 on field goals. 1 hit upright, 1 block. We'll see what he does. It should be a chip shot for him, but of course he remembers a game where he had a couple chippies, an extra point, and a 43-yarder that would have won the game. He didn't hit.
And this one is like an extra point. He put down at the 11, it looks like, so a 21-yard attempt for Del Greco. And no doubt about this one, Al Del Greco finally gets a field goal on his 3rd attempt, and it's a big one. It puts the Titans up 10-7 in the 3rd. Well, Tennessee has taken their 2nd lead of the ball game. They jumped out 7-0, and after the Ravens came back to tie it, Al Del Greco's 21-yard field goal makes it a 10-7 ball game as the Titans kick it away. Jermaine Lewis to the right side, gets it out across the 30 to about the 33-yard line, and that is where the Baltimore Ravens will take over as they trail the Titans 10-7 in Nashville. Stick with us. Come right back. Back from Adelphia Coliseum, Nashville, Tennessee, home of the Tennessee Titans, where they are 15-1 all time in this building. The only loss coming at the hands of the Ravens earlier on this season. And a hard-fought game, a one-point victory for the Ravens that featured Al Del Greco missing a field goal that could have won it at the end of regulation. The only reason they needed that was because he had missed an extra point. Today has missed 2 of his 3 field goals. One was partially blocked. But the one make has made it a 10-7 game, and Jamal Lewis takes it out to his own 35-yard line on first down.
Obviously, Brian Billick wants to establish more of a running game. Jamal Lewis hasn't had a lot of room to operate either inside or out in this game, and they want to become a ball-control team and have a long drive down the field as well and put some pressure on the Tennessee Titan defense. They really had that one blown play, the 56-yarder to Sharp, and that's really the best they've done offensively all day.
Otherwise, the Titans defense has locked the Ravens up tight. Dilfer under pressure, throws down the middle, incomplete. And Dilfer is down. Oh, this could be a problem.
And boy, both quarterbacks have taken some real shots in this game. Some real shots, and Dilfer took a real shot there from Keith Bullock, but the all-out blitz is called. Here comes Favors from the outside. There's Bullock on the inside, gave him a shot right to the midsection. One more look. Bam.
Well, it could be ribs, and it could be something just the wind being knocked out of you, and I think
it's more or less the wind. I think it's more or less the wind knocked out of him. There's Tony Banks.
Tony Banks was the starter this year. He was benched in favor of Dilfer. We may see him throwing for the Ravens when we come back.
Play with poise and confidence. This is our battlefield.
We're doing it together with a lot of energy. Let's go! Let's go! Average people don't get this far in life. You ain't average. We know what we got to do. Let's do it. We don't lose on that field. Everybody gonna win every battle, but you gotta win most of them. Blue 45.
As Trent Dilfer, just 4 for 11 for 112 yards. That's a big number. Shakes off that last hit. Tony Banks will come in, the player that Dilfer replaced in the 9th game of the season. Banks will throw right away into the flat and incomplete. It was intended for Sam Gash, a bit low and away.
Sam Gash, excellent receiver out of the backfield, 2-time Pro Bowler himself. One more look at the hit. Here comes your blitzing linebacker right up the middle, Keith Bullock, and gets a shot right, looked like to the right chest or stomach area of Trent Dilfer. Might have knocked the wind out of him. Dilfer appears to be okay on the sideline. He'll probably come out for the next Ravens possession, but this one ends in a 3-and-out, and they'll have to punt.
Kyle Richardson, line of scrimmage, the 35-yard line. He's had his last 2 punts blocked by the same guy, Chris Coleman. This time, he gets it away without much problems, and it's a good one back to the 14. Mason being tracked down and finally taken down. Great coverage that time by the Ravens special teams as he is swarmed under. He actually lost a couple yards back to his own 11-yard line. We got a flag on the play. Bernie Kukar jogging down to find out what the score is. Could be a face mask.
Holding 37 of the return team during the run back. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Well, Tennessee is not going to have great field position here, but they are holding on to the 3-point lead in the third quarter of the AFC Divisional Playoff. Packed house at Adelphia Coliseum, watching their Tennessee Titans take over the football in the third quarter against the Ravens with the 10-7 lead. Mark Brown along with Eric Clemens bringing you this AFC Divisional Round playoff game. Ravens finished the season at 12-4. They have since added a playoff victory last week against Denver. They finished second in the AFC Central to the Tennessee Titans, who had their second straight 13-3 season. They will take over on their own 6-yard line. 7:10 to play in the third. give it to Eddie George, and Eddie George gets it out to the 9-yard line.
And speaking of such, to this game, we'll find out who they'll be playing and where. We might reports on Philadelphia and the Giants.
Again, Titans need to get a couple first downs, get out from under their own goalpost here a little bit. The Ravens have to respond to the challenge.
2nd and 7, delay handoff to Eddie George out across the 10 near the 14-yard line. Should be about 2 yards short of the first down.
And this is a great position for the Tennessee Titans to keep the drive alive. 3rd and short, you're going to bite on any play fake to Eddie George because he's been doing well.
Now we look at the most carries in an NFL season. The 4th highest total ever was Eddie George this year with 403. You got to go back to 98 when Jamal Anderson carried it 410 times to the Falcons the year they went to the Super Bowl. Titans nearing the 100-yard rushing mark. McNair scrambling and has to just fire it out of bounds under pressure.
What great defense. I mean, here you have everything working to your advantage. 3rd and 2. They didn't play fake, which is one thing that was pretty surprising. But you could do anything. A little quick pass or whatever. Excellent coverage downfield. McNair had absolutely nowhere to go with the ball. This could be a huge play and a huge swing in field position for the Ravens, who are trailing by 3, and they want that man, Mr. Jermaine Lewis, to try to come up with a big play on the punt return.
Craig Hendrick well below his average with his 2 kicks today. Took the high snap and got the punt away. And it's a good one. Fair catch, signaled at the 40, but flags come in. Lewis was interfered with by the coverage man. Dane and Sidney is going to be whistled for a penalty here. Good field position forthcoming now for the Ravens.
Big penalty, too. Big penalty. That'll push the ball down and put it into Titan territory, so the Ravens have a golden opportunity to respond here.
And, of course, the question is this an infraction foul of the 5-yard variety or the personal of the 15? And it is catch interference.
Interference with the opportunity. 37 of the kicking team. 15-yard penalty. First down.
And there it is, Dane and Sidney. You'll tack 15 yards on, and the Ravens will take over in Titan territory. Well, this game has been a fight from moment one, as all expected it would be. The Titans and the Ravens. 10-7, Tennessee at home and with the lead, but facing a challenge here, as it'll be Raven ball at the Titan 45 after the 15-yard interference penalty. Lewis picking his way down to the 40-yard line, so a gain of 5 on first down for Jamal Lewis.
Easily his best run of the day, or a run where he actually got to get to the line of scrimmage without a bunch of blue shirts being there. They have got to make something happen on this drive. They might not have another opportunity to start in such great field position.
Second and 5. Jamal Lewis, oh, he has found it tough going today. Averaged 4.4 yards a carry on the season, less than half of that so far this afternoon. This time a hole up the middle. He is still on his feet down to the 26-yard line. First down and more. The Ravens are moving. If you're just joining us, welcome. You're watching the AFC Divisional Round playoff matchup between the Titans and the Ravens, and it is a 10-7 Titan lead.
One more look at it. Jamal Lewis, some room up the middle now. Now you're seeing the Ravens respond with power football and a ball control drive. See if they can get the job done and get at least 3 on this one.
They give it back to Lewis, and nothing happened in that time after a 15-yard gain on the previous run. Seems like every play we've got some little fighting back and forth.
And Ben Coates that time getting into it with Greg Favors, the outside linebacker.
Baltimore's last 9 games, it has been Jamal Lewis, and how about some more Jamal Lewis? They'd love to see him break out here. No gain on that last carry from the 26-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 10. Dilfer rifles it, ball in the air, nearly intercepted. Godfrey had a chance at it. The intended receiver was Shannon Sharp.
And he had more blue shirts around than you could shake a stick at on that one. Lucky that one didn't get picked off when it was batted up in the air. Here's Shannon Sharp split wide. Blaine Bishop coming up for the coverage. And, boy, there's 2-3 guys right around. I think that one actually hit Bishop in the shoulder pads, but bounced fortunately for the Ravens in a way that it was not intercepted.
What a break on the football by Blaine Bishop. 2 for 7 on third down conversions so far today are the Ravens. They are facing a 3rd and long now. Gopher is back in the game after shaking off the injury. Oh, we have all kinds of movement up front. This play never happened.
The big question was whether Javon Curse was drawn offside because he was almost into the backfield. No, he was not. Almost into the backfield at the snap of that football.
Well,
trying
that
to
makes
guess the snap.
Offside, 90 defense. 5-yard penalty, repeat third down.
Well, that makes converting third downs a little easier when you cut them down from 10 yards to 5.
And Javon Curse nearest to you. And, boy, you know what? It looked like his counterpart there, Harry Swain, may have rocked backward ever so slightly, and that might have been what he was keying on.
Well, in any event, it goes against Tennessee. 3rd and 5 now. There's the penalty numbers. Not too big for either team. We'll see if the Ravens can convert. They're well within Matt Stover's field goal range. They've yet to bring him out for a field goal here. A reverse to Jamal Lewis. Nowhere to go and taken down at the 21. The Tennessee defense stayed at home. They smelled that one out.
Well, that's a conservative call that time. The Titans expected them to pass the football, and they didn't want to risk giving up a turnover and blowing an opportunity to tie the game with a field goal. Lewis just absolutely nowhere to go. Godfrey is there. A couple of defensive backs there. Samari Roll, as well as another coming in, safety Marcus Robertson.
35 of 39 on the season is Matt Stover. This one on the way, drifting a bit right, but inside that right upright. So Brian Billick and company have now tied this one up at 10 apiece, thanks to the field goal by Stover. 3:05 to play in the 3rd quarter. It's 10 apiece in Nashville, Tennessee. So now Stover will get set to kick. And Stover ready to kick it away. We are now tied at 7. 6 plays and 25 yards after the great field position, after the punt interference penalty against Tennessee, and it does turn into 3 points for the Ravens. And that ball will go through the end zone, unreturnable, and the Titans will take over at their 20-yard line. Take a look at what the Titans have done since 1999. They are 26-6, 15-1 at home. You can add 1 home playoff win to that to make it 16-1. In the playoffs, they were 3-1 on their way to a Super Bowl appearance last year.
And a Super Bowl that nobody will forget for a long time to come, as Dyson stopped about a yard to a yard and a half short of the end zone. Great tackle by the St. Louis Rams linebacker Jones on the play.
3 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter. McNair flush to the right, looking downfield, and what a catch. Did anybody touch Mason?
Yes, they did.
They will say he is down, but a nice completion on a good effort from Derek Mason.
And he got out of there, and after a while it looked like a design rollout, but you could easily see that he was starting to run for his life, being chased by all 4 linemen who aren't in that picture, but a nice diving grab that time by Derek Mason. And here you see that, well, you didn't see the touchdown. Here we go again. Mason just sees his quarterback rolling out, reverses direction, makes a nice catch against Starks. And
where's the touch? We came out of the replay too early.
I think somebody else came in there and did touch him down on the play.
From the 32, cutting back is George, breaks a tackle and gets a couple.
Corey Harris had him right by the legs, and George just bounced off of him and kept going. He's getting ever so close to that 100-yard mark, and that would break quite a streak. Again, 34 games. This Ravens defense has not allowed a 100-yard rusher, and Eddie George has got to be getting awfully close right now here nearing the end of the 3rd quarter. 84 yards, 18 carries, and 102 total yards. So he's only 16 away from breaking quite a streak for the Ravens defense.
2nd and 8 now. Eddie George figures to get a lot more carries here from the 39-yard line. McNair to Mason, but he didn't get both feet down. Not even close. He was wide open.
Great defense is sometimes subtle. Now, you see a near completion there, and you go, oh, how come he couldn't get both his feet in? Because McNair had to throw that one a little bit before he wanted to because he was under heavy pressure. You see, Mason had both feet sliding, but before he had actually caught the ball. Here's the pressure I'm talking about. Coming right up the middle that time is Keith Washington, and McNair really had to get rid of it maybe a little bit before he wanted to.
So a 3rd and 7 upcoming for Tennessee. Final minute and a half of the 3rd quarter. 13 for 20, just 89 yards so far. Play clock is down to 2. And maybe miscommunication between he and Thigpen, and it falls incomplete. It'll be 4th down.
Well, I'll tell you what, he was under a heavy rush again. Ray Lewis was blitzing. He was back there in the backfield, and he had to make a decision quickly. He made a decision to go outside with the ball. His receiver, reading the blitz, made the decision to come inside, hence an incompletion for Coach Fisher's offense, and now they're going to have to give it back to the Ravens.
Greg Hendrick's last kick was his best of the game, 45 yards. Jermaine Lewis, 1 return for 4 yards so far. He's had some fair catches. Hendrick gets it away under some pressure, and Lewis signaling for the fair catch at his own 26-yard line. So that is where the Ravens will take over.
Hopkins and Lewis there a little after the play is over, and Lewis turns around and goes, hey, what are you doing? I'm still not going anywhere. I'm going to be here. And now they're smiling at each other. God only knows what they talk about under the helmets. Sometimes you get a chance to listen, but most times no.
Hopkins making his first Pro Bowl appearance, or will, in Hawaii, coming up in February. And the Titans crowd starting to get in it now. Looking to spur on their defense. Short drop from Dilfer. And a short pass to Qadri Ismail. Give him about 5 yards on that completion.
They have been blitzing Dilfer an awful lot this afternoon. I know they believe they can get pressure on him, but they're just trying to give him different looks. He does not have the reputation of a guy who keeps cool and calm under pressure. They're trying to pressure him into a mistake and a momentum swinging type turnover. So far, they haven't been able to do it.
Samari Roll in his 3rd year out of Florida State. 11 interceptions over his past 2 seasons. And he has earned a trip to the Pro Bowl where he will start. 2nd and 5 from the 31. Dilfer. I'm not sure who that one was to, and he was not outside of the pocket, but he didn't throw it away to avoid pressure. He just made a very bad throw.
And Brian Billick's wondering, what the heck are you doing here? I don't understand your read on that play whatsoever.
And that'll set up a 3rd and 5 with 34 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter.
Jeff Fisher wondering why that's not intentional grounding. I mean, nobody was in your picture there. Nobody's anywhere near that foul. And remember, he wasn't outside the tackles. He wasn't out of the pocket.
But the key is to avoid a sack, and he was not under any pressure, so that just goes down as a poor throw by Trent Dilfer. This time he is under pressure. Oh, it was nearly picked off. He threw it right into the hands of Kenny Holmes.
Kenny Holmes kicking himself. He'll kick himself all the way home for not holding on to that one. He might have been able to get 6 had he held on. And look at the coverage here. Qadri Ismail being covered by Danon Stanley, or Sidney rather, I'm sorry, Danon Sidney on the coverage there. Ismail thinks he's held. Meanwhile, Dilfer again under heavy pressure has to get rid of this one very quickly, and they almost forced him into that turnover we talked about a few seconds ago.
So Kyle Richardson on to punt once again. No rush this time, and the kick is away. Mason with a fair catch signal and takes it at his 31-yard line, and that is where the Titans will take over. And of course, these two teams are playing for the right to take on the Oakland Raiders in the AFC Championship game. Rich Gannon and the Raiders, and a tremendous effort by their defense has catapulted Oakland into the championship game. Baltimore or Tennessee will be the opponent, but you got to stick around and watch our game here find out who that'll be. Right now, we are no closer to answering it than we were when we started the game.
Absolutely not.
10 apiece with 23 seconds to play in the third. McNair off the pump fake. Comes back over the middle to Eddie George across the 40 to the 41.
And I tell you what, he has taken some punishment when he's come out of that backfield to catch the ball over the middle, as that play ought to end the third quarter. Ray Lewis and company have really been hitting him hard over there, but George just keeps coming back at him. 1 quarter to go, huh? This is a great one.
15 minutes of football with the Titans and the Ravens.
It needs a snow, really, to make this any better.
Just to send it all off nicely. We touched on this at half-time, and it became even more appropriate in this particular quarter as well, because, of course, we had, you know, it's only field goals that we actually saw in that quarter. Special teams, and at this time of the year, you cannot place enough emphasis on the importance of them,
especially in a close game. Special teams and turnovers are the things that decide playoff games, and of course, special teams you can coach, and turnovers you can't.
No, right.
For the most part. But you know, as this game goes on, the Titans are actually doing a lot of the things offensively they'd like to do, but they haven't been able to sustain it because the Ravens' defense is so good. Titans' defense has really held the Ravens' offense in check for most of the game, but right now the big difference has been some special teams mistakes.
Yes.
By both teams, but the worst for the Ravens being a punt return that's going to be blocked by Chris Coleman, who's a guy who I liked a lot coming out of college last year as a receiver. But what he's going to do is to come from right here on your screen and come up the middle here. And what 45's going to do is to block this way because he thinks that Coleman's been picked up by his teammate. So now watch 57, who just gets a little piece of Coleman, but Coleman keeps coming, and 45 goes the wrong way. And now you'll get a better view of it here because Coleman's going to come around from the side, and you see they've got a stunt going this way. And the thing with kick coverage, with blocking, is you block from the inside out. You have to seal the middle. So see Coleman come straight ahead and through, and because 57 goes off him to pick up a man who doesn't need to be picked up on the outside, he gets the free run off the middle, and 45 has already moved to the outside. But the basic thing on kick coverage is you always cover from the inside out.
Right.
You seal the inside first. You know, you have two guys on the outside to take care of that.
And with 1 quarter of football and possibly overtime to go, there's going to be some twitchy kicking feet out there, isn't there?
Yeah, and you know, you can always tell with a guy like Chris Coleman, who was a wide receiver at NC State last year and wasn't drafted.
Yeah.
You can tell that they didn't intend for him to be playing much because he's wearing 17. He's not wearing a wide receiver's number.
And he got his right number on.
Yeah, so it's like an undrafted free agent. And as the game goes on, I mean, one mistake could determine this whole game at this point. You know, that's the amazing thing about it, is you've got two really tough teams battling it out here, and really another Al Del Greco miss or something, you know, another low field goal, a pass that goes, you know, Trent Dilfer pass that goes right into a safety's arms, and that's going to be the end of the game.
And the closer it stays, the more you don't want to be that person who makes that mistake, that's for sure. Okay, Sam, it's got to give the last quarter, possibly, of football between these two teams this season. Let's see how it turns out.
These two teams are now battling into their 12th quarter of football. Each has won a game and now tied at 10. Entering the fourth in their third meeting. Eddie George didn't have much to get for the first down. Fell forward, and the officials appear to be marking it in advance of the first down marker. So he appears to have it, keeping the drive alive.
Eddie George, again, we mentioned earlier, never seems to fall backwards when he's hit. And that time he scrambled and probably from one hand, keeping his balance, gets out around the first down marker.
34 games, as Eric had pointed out earlier, without allowing a 100-yard rusher. McNair off the bootleg finds Wycheck across midfield and gets another first down, despite attempts to dislodge the ball with punches by Corey Harris. The flags fly in late. You know, he wasn't trying to punch Wycheck, but that's what he ended up doing.
Yeah, he was trying to punch the ball out there and forgot. There's the personal foul call, unnecessary roughness along the sideline. I think he forgot he was out of bounds and just went to make the tackle on the guy about 6 yards out of bounds.
26 defense. Late hit out of bounds. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Exactly right. So it wasn't for the effort to punch the football away. It was he just kept doing it.
And there's Wycheck. going out in the flat, gets it. And watch right here. Corey Harris punching. Well, I don't know. I guess they called 26, but Harris was throwing him down as well.
Yeah,
they could have called either one. Woodson did come over and get a hit on him.
Either way, it's 15 yards tacked on the line of scrimmage, the 28-yard line now of Baltimore. Eddie George takes it down near the 25.
Now he's up around 90 yards after 2 or 3 on that one. So that streak in jeopardy, and I don't think the Ravens are really thinking about anything like that right now. They just want to try to make something happen defensively, maybe force some kind of turnover, which you saw the defensive back Harris doing that time, trying to force a fumble after Wycheck's catch. And, of course, the Titans want the opposite. They want to hold onto the ball, eat some more clock, and take a lead here.
Al Del Greco in a close game, defensive struggle, late going. He would figure to be a prominent individual at the end of this game. Short pass is incomplete. McNair sent it to Aaron McKinney. Might have been a bit behind him, and I think that's what McNair is saying there.
And a bit dangerous with those fast closing linebackers of the Ravens. If something deflects off the hands of a receiver over the middle of the field, one of those quick linebackers is going to be near it, and that's the kind of turnover opportunity the Ravens would like to see a couple more times before this one is over, I'm sure.
Jeff Fisher checking the play chart. What do we got for 3rd and 7? Going to ask offensive coordinator Mike Hemmerdinger. Out of the shotgun. McNair fakes the draw, going to take it himself. And he will not make it. Darren Sharper taking him down.
And I'll tell you what, he is one fortunate quarterback. Watch him on the bootleg here, and watch coming up from the secondary, Dwayne Starks. Right there. He just missed getting the shoulder in, and that would have been ugly because he was being dragged down from the other direction by Jamie Sharper, the linebacker. Fortunately for McNair, the tackle with the shoulder leading the way was missed. Otherwise, he might still be laying on the field right now.
This one from 37 yards. Del Greco, it's blocked and taken in midair by the Ravens. Anthony Mitchell with blockers. He could go. Would you believe this? The Ravens have taken the lead.
Wow.
Al Del Greco must feel that he is in the midst of a nightmare.
That's an incredible, incredible play. Well, we saw a pass batted back to Steve McNair earlier. Now another blocked field goal, the second one against Del Greco in this game. It looked like Big Rob Burnett got a hand on it up there. Goes in the air, and there's Mitchell. Catches it in midair and goes all the way with it for a touchdown. 90 yards on the blocked field goal return.
Al Del Greco still doesn't know what happened. He has missed a field goal. He has had 2 blocked, and he's made one. Unbelievable. And now the Ravens have the first lead of the game, and Adelphia Coliseum is stunned, as quiet as they have been all afternoon long. Brian Billick's Ravens have made the big play when they have to in the 4th quarter in Tennessee.
One more look at the block. Here we go. You get a lot of pressure from that right side of the line. The hold, everything is good. It looked like Big Rob Burnett again. Might have been there. Washington getting the push, but watch Burnett behind him. He gets his helmet knocked off. Watch Burnett. Could have been either hand.
I think it was Washington.
Washington, and if so, that's his second of the game. And Al Del Greco must think he's in the twilight zone. What an awful day so far. Missed a 50-yarder, got redemption because of a penalty against the defense. Has a 45-yarder blocked. And here's a look at your Titans special team coach,
Alan
Lowry. And Lowry's going, oh, no. Not only is it blocked, but they're running it back. Ugh.
And so now the Ravens will kick it away with the lead, believe it or not. Derek Mason from his 5. Comes across the field and nothing doing there. He is wrapped up quickly.
But whoever blocked it, what a big play. And we've seen just Special teams play is outstanding for both sides. The Titans have blocked a couple punts, but only have 3 points to show for it. They block a couple field goals. This one directly resulting in a big 7 points. One more look. Pressure's going to come up the middle. And whoever that was on your left appeared to get his hand on it. And there's Anthony Mitchell. Just needs to turn it upfield here. He gets away from Wycheck and outruns any of the offensive linemen chasing him. 90 yards on the return.
From their own 15. Play action for McNair. Under pressure, deep down the right side. And it is finally incomplete, but a shot at an interception there for Chris McAllister, but he couldn't hold on.
I tell you what, he had that one in his hands, and Yancey Thigpen makes a great play. He became a defensive back on this one. Watch. McAllister has this one in his hands. He's coming down with it, thinking about the run back. And look at Thigpen. Almost came down with it. One more look. Thigpen playing defensive back here, just trying to keep it from being picked. And as the ball's going down, I tell you what, only because he didn't have control of it was this not ruled a catch and a fumble from the defensive standpoint.
2nd and 10. Another short drop for McNair. Complete short. Out across the 20 to Mason. Out to maybe the 22.
Mason shaking up. Might have taken a finger to the eye there. It looked like the defender might have got a hand under his face, or maybe a knee to the head here as well. One more look at it. That was just a little short pattern. Yeah, got a little knee to the head action there, and that always rings your bell a little bit. One more look, bang, right off the knee there. Of course, the knee of the oncoming linebacker doesn't feel too good either.
Well, as Mason is attended to on the field at Adelphia Coliseum, we'll take a break and come back with more fourth quarter action. Well, one of the best home field advantages in all of football in the 2 years of its existence, Adelphia Coliseum